granniopteryx, granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
Hello. Well, this is a bit of a turn up for the books, literally for the books. Teach us or quit. Students confront striking staff outside school. And then it says up to 80 students are being taught in an assembly hall by only one teacher, obviously the one teacher who wasn't on strike, at London school after mass walkout. Now, I want you to pay special attention to this. You see that flag there? Right, let's carry on. And this guy here wearing a keffiyeh and then something about racism there. All right, and I don't know whether you'll be able to hear this, but I'm going to play the sound now.
The fact that you're doing this during people's GCSE and mock times make us think you have no sympathy or consideration towards your students.
Right, I don't know whether you caught that. There was a subtitle. The sound wasn't too good. The fact that you're doing this during the GCSE course and it shows you have no consideration for your students. That's what that voice was saying, one of the pupils, I suppose. Teenage girls have taken to the streets to confront their striking teachers. About 130 pupils and parents at Connaught School for Girls in Leytonstone, East London, have begun holding counter-protests to demand an end to unreasonable industrial action. These two parents here, I don't know why they see fit to give their ages, who have teenage daughters at the school, said that students had reached breaking point after far-left strike action which has taken place during the past 14 years. So this has been going on for a while. It's obviously a radicalised school. Miss Tranter, whose daughter is in year 10, says they just want to learn. This is the most horrible thing they're begging to be taught. They said the issues union members appeared to be protesting against, which ranged from the war in Gaza to claims of victimisation and poor working conditions, had absolutely nothing to do with these girls. She said, you've got the head of English, head of maths and head of science all on strike, along with most of the departments, and it's a credit to the school that they're still being taught. They're all in the hall, maybe 3 classes together, so 60 odd pupils and one teacher. And one of the teachers said, I'm so proud of the girls, their behaviour's been amazing. And she was astonished that she could teach 60 to 80 kids all at the same time in the same hall. This is a marvellous graphic here. Teach or quit, which is great. It's given me a lot of hope, actually, for the future. I mean, as awful as this situation is for the girls, it has cheered me up. I'll explain why in a minute. So one of the girls said, why have you got the Palestine flag on? All this stuff about kids not understanding what's going on is destroyed in that one question. Now, down at the bottom somewhere, you see it's a very long article. A National Education Union spokesman told The Telegraph NEU members are on strike at Connaught School due to the threat of compulsory redundancies and unmanageable workloads. You know, just to jump forward a little bit, because I'm going to mention this later on, Rachel Reeves closed down a lot of private schools, which has thrown a lot of pressure onto state schools. Why did Rachel Reeves do that? You might wonder, and these teachers here say they have unmanageable workloads. They should be begging for private schools to take some of the weight, wouldn't they? But no, they wouldn't do that. That's completely against where they want to go. Anyway, the NEU said that the teachers are striking for very good reasons, compulsory redundancies and unmanageable workloads. We believe the dire state of school funding lies behind this. parents are. So closing down private schools hasn't helped the state schools. After all, what a surprise. Okay, we believe that dire state of school funding lies behind this. Parents will agree that schools need more money to provide the excellent education all children deserve. That's a bit of cut and paste there. Excellent education all children deserve. Yeah. Parents will agree that the schools should be open and teaching. Yeah, you get schools in Africa where the kids are sitting on the sand and a dedicated teacher still gets these kids to have a reasonable education. It's got nothing to do with any of this, really.
The fact that you're doing this during people's GCSEs.
What it has to do with is the attitude of the teachers. As for the National Education Union, the union that these teachers at Connaught School belong to, they have a great record of radicalism and supporting various radical causes. For instance, let me take you back to Batley a couple of years ago, where a teacher in a religious education class said to his pupils, some of whom were Muslim, that he was going to be in the course of his teaching, and this was an approved course, he wasn't taking off on his own. He was going to show a depiction of Muhammad, and if they didn't want to see it, they could absent themselves from that particular class. You'd say sensitive, wouldn't you? Reasonable, wouldn't you? Well, a couple of the pupils stayed, saw the cartoon, got thoroughly offended, went back to their parents told the local imam, and before you knew it, the school was being besieged by Muslims in all sorts of so-called traditional clothing from all over Yorkshire, apparently. And the teacher is now still in hiding because his name got out. And his name got out, and his address, and all stuff about him got out because the National Education Union, who happened to have given £3,000 to a Muslim charity, also managed to leak the name of the teacher and all his personal details because that teacher was a member of that union. That is the NEU for you. The union representing the Batley Grammar School teacher donated money to the charity that put his name in the public domain. And they published his name online. So he is now, it's right out there throughout the country. That is the NEU. So, is it a big surprise that those teachers in Connaught School are acting the way they're acting? Well, what do you think? You will have noticed, and I'm using as my benchmark here, this fellow here. Let's get this. Here we are, this guy here. Okay, who you will notice is wearing one of those Palestinian keffiyehs. There's another one there. There you are, who's wearing a Palestinian flag. So you've got here your clues to the mentality of both of these teachers and probably the other ones as well. And what's this racism stuff here? There is no racism in British schools. What's the problem? Wages? It's not wages. For this man, it's not wages. It's the Palestinian scarf he's wearing. And so that scarf is capable of two interpretations based on which side of the political divide you are. Either it is a symbol of the heroic resistance of a displaced and oppressed people, or it is a symbol of genocidal Muslim fanaticism. Either way, it's got nothing to do with the school. It is a symbol of a religious conflict thousands of miles away. So why is he wearing it here? And that might be puzzling. unless you go back to these two interpretations I spoke about: heroic resistance of a displaced and oppressed people, or a genocidal Muslim fanaticism. Well, I'm just guessing here, but I don't think it's genocidal Muslim fanaticism that he's showing his sympathies for here. It's the heroic resistance of displaced and oppressed people he is trying to convey. That's just a guess, of course, and I'm proceeding from there. If you think I'm wrong, by all means let me know. But this guy here is styling himself as a heroic resistor, a fighter for, I don't know what, something or other, some sort of a resistance hero. At which point the children that he is charged with educating, they don't matter anymore, because what really matters is the cause. The cause is more important than the kids. Now, the girls want to learn because they recognise this is their future that's being messed around with here. But from his point of view, that is not important. Now, I have mentioned teacher radicalisation before, and on several occasions I've spoken about how you will not change this society until you've changed the teachers. And even if by some miracle he suddenly realises that his pupils need teaching and he goes back to teaching, what's he likely to be teaching his pupils? Well, it'll be this stuff here, the stuff that surrounds that kafir. And he is a type very common in the state system. Well, you can see he is, because all these teachers here are out when the children in their charge are trying to prepare for exams that will direct the course of the rest of their lives. And they're there talking about racism and Gaza. Gaza, let's go back to that woman there. Yeah, with the Gaza flag, wrapping herself in the Gaza flag instead of in the good of her children. And I can't point it out now, because if I let go of this, the video is going to carry on. But you see that guy there in the pea jacket, the green jacket. Look at the body language. And if you look at the woman in front of him, exactly the same body language from her. And indeed, the woman in the hijab behind her, the same body language. They are all standing there, and I'm going to let go and it's going to carry on. They are all standing there like that because they are resisting and smirking and talking about racism. If they were in a private school, they'd have been booted out. Private school, well, they wouldn't have even had a chance to be in there. Private schools don't employ these sorts of people, but state schools do. And Rachel Reeves deliberately went for private schools. She actually made a concerted effort to tax them out of existence. So that kafir man there, he knows it's state school or nothing. The pupils only have him to turn to for an education. And we have somebody like that teaching our children, or not teaching, as the case may be. I have, as I said, I've made videos before about left-wing teachers bringing up a society of radicals. Now, maybe I was wrong. Maybe kids are less amenable to this sort of indoctrination than I thought. I'm quite sure that apart from anything else, this fellow here has taught those girls a very valuable lesson for their future lives: the selfishness of radicalism. And if they went, if by some miracle, as I said, if they all went back tomorrow, started teaching, how much do you think that those girls there in the demonstration would respect them? These people have taught these girls how awful socialism is, which is probably a lesson for life that they might benefit from at some future date. But meanwhile, they're in a very tragic situation, and these guys don't care. Well, that's Kafir man for you. Oh, and Gaza flag woman, of course. All right, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.